Hey, what's up, everyone? You're listening to the Talk About It podcast, or watching the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And today we have special guest Nate WEIK. Nate, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to have you in the seat today and get to spend a little bit of time with you. And appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come hang with us and just talk about it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, let's start off. Just kind of tell us about yourself. I always say like the elevator. You got a minute or two while we take the elevator up to the top floor.
Sure.
But tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from Galesburg, Illinois. I'm 43 years old. Went to Culinary School in 2000 and lived in Chicago for about 6.5, 7 years and worked in various catering companies and restaurants, and ended up moving back to Galesburg and taking over a restaurant that I got my start at, the Landmark Café Creperie. And I've been there coming up on 15 years. I've been a minority owner now for close to 10. I play the guitar, play music in a couple of small local groups, and I love cooking. That's it, man.
So yeah,
How did they start? Like, is it a family thing?
Well, my mom's an excellent cook, and she's always been a good cook. And when I was 20 years old, I decided to try it out myself. I went to the Landmark for a year. I decided I liked it. I wasn't really doing much else with my life, so I ended up going to Culinary School, and it's been a wrap ever since.
The Culinary School is in Chicago?
It's called the Cooking and Hospitality Institute of Chicago. Yep.
Yeah, Nice. So what does that take to get?
I did the 2-year program. I kind of wish I would have done the 4-year program looking back on it, but I gained a lot of my knowledge on the job from other chefs. Culinary School was great, don't get me wrong. I learned a lot of the fundamentals, which are very important, but it doesn't really teach you real life situations or real life scenarios, like how to apply those techniques in the real world. You kind of learn that on the job.
And I would say that it's like that with any type of industry.
Absolutely.
You learn way more hands-on than learning theoretical.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think the other 2 years would have done for you?
Just the business side of it.
Sure.
The business side of it.
Okay, so they're not just teaching you like food.
No,
It's
they're
the whole
not.
9 yards.
It's the whole 9 yards, and I basically just did the cooking portion, the associate's degree portion of it. I did learn a lot about restaurant management through that school, but they take it a little further in the 4-year program.
So I know a couple other folks that I believe is one in Colorado somewhere. It's pretty popular. Different places across the nation. Is there a reason you chose the one that you did in Chicago?
Well, I was actually thinking of a school in Fort Lauderdale at the time. I think that was an institute, like a Fort Lauderdale Institute of Art. They have Institute of Arts all over. But my dad was helping me look at that stuff. And actually at the time, I had to make a really quick decision because of I had waited so long to get in. It was either like go now or have to wait another year.
Sure.
So I went on a visit to the one in Chicago, and I liked it. It was a little bit of a culture shock for me, though, because I'd only been to Chicago like twice before. I'm a small town guy going up there. My school was literally right next door to Cabrini Green. And Cabrini Green was just kind of on the downturn, getting ready to be kind of torn down, and new buildings built there. But I have to say it was pretty intimidating.
What type of hesitation, anytime and you're young, you're moving somewhere, you're nervous, questioning yourself, talk a little bit maybe about some of those experiences that you were going through.
I just put my nose down and went and did it. You know what I mean? I just did it. I feel like if you hesitate at all, if there's any hesitation, you're not going to do it. Sometimes you just got to jump with both feet.
Right.
Period. And that's scary to do because you don't know where you're going to end up on the other side.
No, or the fear of failing.
Or the fear of failure, which
Yeah.
that was a big part of it too, and I just knew that if I was going to go, now's the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing to cook?
I don't really have a favorite thing to cook, but I do like cooking seafood. We do our Tuesday night seafood, and it's been very popular. I've learned a lot on the job working with different types of fish, like how to break them down, because we'll either get like whole fish or we'll get sides of fish, and I've got to take the scales off, take the pin bones out. I've got to fillet the fish, and there's a skill there that school doesn't teach you. Like they give you one fish, well, here, do it. Like, no, I need like 100 fish to learn how to do this. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean, like on the jobs where you really, really learn, and I've been fortunate to have a good boss who has been very helpful and wanting me to be able to explore new recipe ideas, new types of foods. We have a clientele that I have to be careful with. I can't do things too spicy. I can't do things too outside of the box, because we are in the Midwest, meat and potatoes type of place.
Yes.
But anything overly flavorful is a little sketchy for some of our clientele, because we have like an older clientele too. So I have to be mindful of that as well. But I have gotten a great opportunity with a good supportive boss that helps me explore my creativity.
Phil is great.
What does future look like? What's your plans for?
Well, we're on like a little bit of a plan for me to start taking over soon, but we're still kind of working through some details with that. Phil is very much still involved with everything that goes on in that place, and he definitely is the final say in everything. But eventually I would like to take it over and throw my twists on it. It's just the one thing that's intimidating for me is that this restaurant has 40 years of clientele expectations, so I have to carry that load a little bit, and I can't just close it down and reopen it and do what I ultimately wanted to do. Like, this is more of like a tradition place. I have to kind of stay within the traditions.
Don't you dare go changing the spinach bis.
Yeah,
like,
you'll
hear that.
Yeah,
you'll hear that.
And I'll tell you right now, no matter what happens, that's not going away. It's
right.
Period.
And do you feel like the clientele keeps changing as the generations go, or do you feel like they're the same people that were the clients 20 years ago now are older and keep being the same clients, or you see more younger people?
It's an interesting question, because like I do see a lot of the same people, but then I see their children and their children.
Okay.
I see I see families come in there. I mean, I've seen you come in there with your kids. You know what I mean? I'm sure your parents took you there when you were younger.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And people there, their grandparents have taken them there. One thing that always keeps us young, though, is Knox College.
Okay.
We get a Knox freshman come in. Now we've got them and their family for 4 years.
4 years at least.
At least. And then when they come back for homecoming, when they come back for graduations, when they come back for any type of Knox event, we've got them. Other restaurants have them too, but we've also got them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a staple in the community for sure.
Absolutely.
And has been. I know I've talked with folks that have come from out of town. They'll just take the train in and be like, literally, to just do a little shopping around and make sure they get the landmark.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, it happens, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it. It's tough, but I mean, every job has its challenges,
Yeah.
And it should be. If it's easy, then what are you doing?
How does it work to be a chef? Do you have a team under you, so you need to delegate tasks, or you're the one that needs to make sure everything's going well? How does that work?
Well, like my job, I have supervisors under me that kind of work out like, okay, well, here's what we're doing for prep today. Like, basically they come in, they have a prep sheet. We look at everything that we've went through the previous day, previous evening, and then we build up to what we call par levels. The par levels are what we know we can make it through the whole day with, as far as our sauces or our meats or whatever, and then, I make sure that that's going okay. I'm in charge of all the ordering, making sure that we get all the stock in, and then coming up with the menus throughout the week as well. So, I mean, having a good cast, they take a lot of burden off of me. So
one thing that I've noticed with the Landmark Cafe is your guys, that team stays pretty familiar faces.
Sure.
I mean, the servers, the staff. You guys have the little glass. You can see a lot of the cooks, the chef, the prep, and it's like a lot of times the same faces. Mm-hmm. So that's amazing when you can keep a team together. Like
well,
that.
I mean, I think that's a testament to Phil and the management staff there. Phil isn't easy to work for, but he's fair. And if you work hard for him, he will, he'll work hard for you, that kind of thing. And even if you are leaving there, if you leave properly with the proper notice, he'll do everything he can to make sure that you land on your feet the next place you're going.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Victor, do you cook?
I cook.
You do?
Yeah.
What's your?
I try to. I'm not a bad cook. No. I've learned a lot with my mom. Mm-hmm. So, and I left home when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
So I needed to learn how to cook early in life. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was not a good cook when I was 16, 17.
Peanut butter and jelly.
But I learned how to, for example, make rice, stuff like simple stuff when I was younger. And I've gotten better. I would say now I'm at the point that, I could cook and make some good dishes, I would say.
Sure.
What about you?
I can hold my own. I do okay. I prefer, if it's up to me, I'm going to fire up the grill. But yeah, I mean, I do a lot of, even my potatoes, vegetables, and some sort of meat, that's usually what I'm going to throw together. Mm-hmm. But quite often I just do a different type of seasoning, and I'll just bake the potatoes and broccoli or whatever, but in the oven while I'm doing the grill. Mm-hmm. But so yeah, to me, I am not a fan of something like, here's what I would never do, Nate. Mm-hmm. And it's part of your every meal. I'm not going to get 6 different products out and a bowl and mix up for it. Now that's just the sauce, right? It's like now if I am ending up with like 6 to 10 or more dirty dishes when I am all done with this, I'm out. I'm out. It's too much.
I know.
Just forget the sauce. I'll eat it dry.
I'm pretty simple at home. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. At home, I really am pretty simple when I cook. Yeah, I don't want a ton of dishes. And, when you work in the restaurant, everything's at your disposal. Mm-hmm. Sure. Right? Everything is here. I don't have to get this out, get that out, wash this, wash that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just right in front of you. So at home, I'm kind of the same way. I get on the grill, I'll cook off some potatoes or rice, and
I was gonna ask you that because you cook some amazing food at Landmark. Mm-hmm. And I was gonna ask you if you cook the same stuff that you make at the restaurant for yourself at home.
Not really, no.
Right?
I don't like to do that. I do like to smoke meats though, so I'll throw something on the smoker while I doing all my yard work and everything. I got a big yard, so it takes me a while, and I don't mind doing that at all. You know what I mean? And that's nice because then I can smoke 8 pounds of pork shoulder, and I got meals for the next 6-7 days.
That was a question I was going to bring up, is mostly because for example, the guy who washes cars all day, he gets in his car and drives home and it's dirty, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, or whatever the industry may be, window cleaners and his windows are dirty. You do it all day. I don't want to come home and do it. Yep. So that was a question I did have planned to.
That's tough, man. I don't want to cook every day at home. I don't want to do it. So I'd rather make a big batch of something and eat on it for a couple of days because I just don't want to do it every day. I got other responsibilities I got to take care of, so. I
found out for myself, if I don't do Sunday or make it a priority Monday to do basically that, cook a good amount of food that I will snack or eat on throughout the next couple days, I won't. Yep. I won't do it every night and come make something different. I'll end up getting a menu or going to the Landmark, and it just is easier, and maybe it's lazy. I don't know, but
for Nate, this is completely understandable because he cooks all day long. Right. He doesn't want to get home and keep cooking.
No, I don't. I definitely don't.
Let's transition a little bit out of food for a sec.
Sure.
You've gotten into being active. I don't know if it's CrossFit or what it is that you're doing, but I know you've gotten pretty active here over the last maybe 2 years.
6.
6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to be pretty heavy. I was 325 pounds 6 years ago.
Okay.
And basically my parents at the time were living in Arkansas, and I went to visit them, and I knew I was heavy. They had a scale in their bathroom. I stood on it, and I was just ashamed.
You had no idea.
I had no idea. I knew I was big. I just didn't know I was that big. And I got on the scale, and I was ashamed of it. And my buddy Greg has a gym in Moline called Badlands Athletics. He works with a lot of football players, getting them ready for college. And he said, come on up. He said, we're just going to assess and see where you're at, you know. So I went up there, and he beat me up, but not too bad. And I've always been athletic, a type of athletic anyway. And he just kind of helped spark that inner fire inside of me. And I slowly lost that weight, and now I weigh like 205. I have been doing CrossFit for about 4 years though. And I love it. It's hard, but I love the challenge, you know? So now it's just trying to maintain and not overeat and stay active, you know?
Yeah. So do you do that more in the mornings, or are you in the evenings?
I like the morning classes.
You do?
To get it over with. And it also just depends on my work schedule. You know, if I work in the morning, then I'll go at night. But a lot of times the night classes are really, really busy. So
yeah. I like the morning. For me, anything I can get done in the morning, it usually will try to set like the pace
tone,
for
yeah.
the day. It does. You know, even I like to read for 5-10 minutes. You know, even if it's a half a chapter, something, and then give me something to chew on throughout the day.
Sure.
Besides the workouts and everything, what did you do that really changed on your diet? Like,
well, for me, I had to start tracking my food. I started using MyFitnessPal and tracking all my food, and you know, I lost 25 pounds really quick. I got to from 325 to 300 really quick, and I was like, wow, okay. But I realized that's when the work started, because I lost a lot of like a little water weight and stuff. Then I stalled. But then before I knew it, I was 275. So I started setting these 25-pound increments, and I got to about 225, and I just hit a wall. And a friend was like, hey, there's a new CrossFit place joining. You want to try that out? And I'd always kind of considered it. And I did it, and that helped me break that last 25 pounds. I ended up getting down to 188, but I didn't feel very good then.
You didn't like that?
No.
You probably 200 is about good safe. I would say,
200 is
right?
pretty good for me. 188, I'd cut carbs completely out, so I was weak. You know what I mean?
And then still trying to work out.
And still trying to work out.
Right.
I've heard a lot of people that were trying to lose weight, and then they cut carbs like completely out, and they stop losing weight. And as soon as they start eating carbs again, they start losing weight again. So basically, a lot of people say that, yeah, if you don't consume carbs at all, you're just not going to have energy to do your workout.
Not
either.
at all.
So, yeah,
And I
it
think
helps. Carbs gives you energy. Yeah.
I think it's important also to trick your body too. If you do the same thing over and over and over, you're going to stall and you're not going to see the results you want. But when you start changing your workout routines, which is why I like CrossFit, because it changes things. And I wouldn't work out as hard as I do if I were doing it on my own. Like having that coaching and programming done for you, like really, really helps me.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have some accountability in that too. There's
Absolutely.
other folks,
Yeah.
you know, they're maybe competition, but not
Friendly.
a competition.
It's all friendly, like
For sure.
It's all friendly competition. Everybody's everybody's everybody else's cheerleader. You know what I mean? Everybody's cheering you on. You know, if you're the last person to finish a workout, you got the highest praise. You know, and it's a pretty cool community. You know, and it's not just the one we have here, which I love, CrossFit WEIK. I want to give them a shout out for sure. It's the CrossFit community in general. I think is pretty accepting and pretty cool.
Do you have any goals now in that level area, or
just to get stronger and stay healthy? You know, I've got heart problems on my father's side. You know, he had a heart attack pretty young, and his father after him had heart attacks all pretty young, and so I'm just trying to prevent all that.
And so I know you said this when we first started. I'm 41. You're a year ahead of me.
I'm
maybe
43.
43.
Yep.
Okay, I knew it was pretty close. Yeah. No. And what are you, Victor? 28? Don't look at us like that.
Oh man!
Right?
I'm
28?
27.
See, 27.
Dang.
Yeah. So he
Just starting
yeah.
my life.
Well, you just wait. You just wait, bro.
But I kind of feel old sometimes. You know, I used to play soccer, and Well, now when I try to play soccer, my knees starts to hurt already. So,
28, 27, knees hurt. But you put your body through.
Yeah, I
probably way
played
more
soccer
than me.
for a long time.
Sure.
At a high level.
Uh-huh.
So I played in Brazil, I played in Europe, Portugal, and Greece. And then I came to the U.S. So
And you were like, wow, they don't really like soccer here.
yes, exactly. But soccer is growing in the United States.
Yes,
It's
it
becoming
is.
more popular.
Yes, it is.
It's still not near to be the number one sport in the United States. But I would say after the next World Cup, the next one after this year, in 4 years, is going to be in the United States. So I think the population in general will start embracing more of this sport.
If they can put forth a little bit more competitive team too, I think that
Yes.
would really help. You
Yes.
know,
That's another thing. Yeah, the clubs are getting better.
They're getting
of course,
better,
10
but-
years ago, the clubs in the United States were terrible. I mean, not terrible, but it
Terrible.
was starting to be popular. Yeah,
compared to the world.
it would be bad compared to Brazil,
Yeah.
Mexico, Europe in general.
the star players everywhere else come here to retire.
Yes, exactly. But now what's happening is the teams, the clubs, they have enough money that they can bring players. They're not close to retire and big players to the U.S. So that's one of the factors that is
That'll help.
helping the sport to be more known and to be watched in Europe, South America. People are watching MLS, the first division here, because of the players that are playing here now. Of course, they're making a lot of money to be here.
Yep.
But I would say a lot of players want to come here. The reason why they were not coming is because the money were not invested in soccer here. But I would say in general, players want to come here because of the lifestyle, the quality of life,
Sure.
and the places that they will live as well. Florida, California, it's hard to find a player from other country in the Midwest, for example,
Right.
Besides Chicago, I don't think there would be any other clubs with international players. Yeah.
What sports did you play in high school?
Played baseball, football. I was a G-man. I think you were a G-man, weren't you?
No,
You know?
I was not. But
What's
and
a
I-
G-man?
So it was a male cheerleader,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, you told me you did
Yeah.
that.
So this is I did do it, but not.
You did it in college.
I stumbled, and I mean stumbled into this in college. But yeah, so I knew you had done that in high school, and then when I went to college in Champaign, it was Parkland College, and we had basically like the campus visit, go around, find where all your different classes are going to be. And a couple cheerleaders approached me, and I'm like, oh, some girls, I'm like single, 20 years old, moving to Champaign, and they were asking me about if I had any interest in trying out and being on the cheerleading team. And I'm like, I know nothing. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah, right.
But do you guys want to hang out?
Yeah,
like,
right.
That's how I went. And so we kind of laughed and like, well, you should just try. And I'm like, yeah, maybe call me, And so these two girls continuously for like the next like 2-3 weeks, I'd see them and crossing at campus or anything. And they'd say, hey, have you thought more? And I'm like, well, we haven't hung out yet. We got, so anyway, we ended up just like hanging out, meeting some of the other people. And what really did it for me is one of them mentioned that they had a scholarship. And I was like, wait, because I'm here, I'm paying my own tuition. And I said, wait, you can, like, they'll pay for your college? And so when I found out that, I was very interested. And then so went to a tryout. Had no clue what I was doing.
How does a tryout look like? What do you need to do?
So, well, I mean, that's the thing. So I'm here at ground zero. I know nothing, right? And they're wanting you to throw these girls, do the toss, starting with the chair, right?
Yeah,
Where
right.
they're sitting in your hand. And the last thing, I'm like self-conscious. I don't want to grab or touch or anything, and be like, what are you doing, you creep? Like that stuff is all going through your head. And so the one girl, I kept trying to do this chair, and she was like, listen, you have to get your hand in there. Like you have to.
You do.
Like, because they have to sit, right?
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like barely sliding right up her back.
Yeah.
And the girl was like, look, you have to get your hand in there. The very next time I stuck it.
There you go.
It was like, you throw them up, and they just grab them, you're driving up with the leg, and stuck it. I was like, okay, if you're giving me the,
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do that too, Nate?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It is, to me too, at least, and I'll talk about myself, like it was almost this misconception too of like, that's like for girly men, you know, like I'm not doing backflips and cartwheel. By the end of it, I could do a standing back tuck. You know, I could toss a girl into hands and go all the way to extension.
Was there any accidents?
Oh yes, I've
type
dropped.
of
I've dropped more than enough. I remember one time it was my job. We had basically like the two guys, and they have a girl holding their legs. They're standing up, and then we're tossing a girl up for them the two girls to catch. Like the guys will step in, right? And then so there's two guys, two girls, and they're holding the girl up on top. I don't know what the names of this stuff is. But so they're like, Lauren, your job is when they pop her out, they'll step out, you step in and catch her. I did not realize how fast all of that was going to happen. And she hit that. There's a mat, but it didn't. I felt terrible.
Yeah,
she's crying, you know.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, don't make me do that again. You know, let me. I'll just bang this megaphone over here and yell defense. Maybe get one of these guys,
Right.
to do that. But eventually, no, I did that and learned so much. It's interesting stuff. And then I find myself, I go to a college basketball game. I'm like watching the cheerleaders and like what they're doing,
Right.
You know, because I have a great deal of respect for it. I would have never thought, but without that, I don't believe I would have been academically successful in college. Personally, I think it really
Helped drive you.
Oh, I mean, we had study sessions. You had to have good grades. I'm getting free tuition, you know. So for me, it kind of held me more responsible.
Sure.
Instead of like, you know, being some of my friends that, you know, they after the first semester they were out. You know, without that, I probably would have been leaving campus with them. You know.
Sure.
So.
Did you do that in college or high school?
I did it in high school, and the thing is at that time we had a really good basketball team. I mean, I graduated in '97, and in '98 our team got second in state. So I basically got to travel with the basketball team and watch all the games for free.
Great games.
You know, and they were great games back when Joey was playing, and Joey Range. Shout out to Joey Range.
Yeah.
Best basketball player in Galesburg, I would say, probably history.
At least from our generation.
At least in
that
our
we'll ever
generation,
know,
for
but
sure.
hands
Did he
down.
go pro or no?
He went to college.
Yeah.
and
He went to the
played.
University of Iowa. I'm not really sure what happened there, but he was a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yes.
For
Yes.
sure.
I mean, he was one of the guys that, you know, would even in junior high was dunking the basketball.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I couldn't.
And I don't
even-
think he even really played competitively until
high school.
High
Yeah,
school.
because you never really had to probably do a whole lot of effort with the kids that are up to your middle of your
right.
chest. Your
That's
pocket,
right.
What would you guys say if you got, for example, if you have a good talent like that, like now, what would be the best steps for a person to become a big player in any sports? Like, you were born in Mammoth. What would you do if your kid is one of the best basketball players in the region? You would try to send the kid to Chicago for a tryout? What would you guys do?
If you're that good, you're going to get noticed regardless.
Sure.
In this world of the internet and social media, in my own advice would be almost like what we talk about in life in general. If you're going to want a different result than everyone else, you must take different actions,
Yes.
right? So there's footage of Kobe Bryant, of him sharing this type of stuff. You know, you think of Michael Jordan, when those peers were out having parties, going to dinner, living up with friends, they're literally still in the gym shooting more free throws, you know. So if you want that level of greatness, you can achieve it. You have to obviously have some talent too,
right.
but you even as talented as Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan were, they were still in the gym. You know, I think you either have this inner hunger or you don't, right? Like you even talked about when you our screen went back, but you even were talking about when you wanted to lose
The remote for the TV.
once you got on the scale, and like, there's many people that get on the scale and go, oh man, I got to figure this out, but they don't, and it's okay to each their own.
Yeah.
But you either have this drive or you don't.
Right.
You know. And I do believe most or all of us have it in there. It's just a matter of getting it unlocked.
There's a formula to unlocking it, and I don't know what it is. I knew what it was for me, but it's different for everybody else. There's something that has to drive you, and mine was like, no way. There's no way I'm this big. There's no way I'm this heavy. No way. I never thought I'd ever be that big, and I was. And then I go back now and I look at, I've already gotten rid of all my big clothes, but I used to be one of those guys that could be like, hey, look, my pants came out to here, and that was a cool feeling. But at the same time, I was like,
Never again.
Never again, but never should have been either.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, I think it's different for everybody. That you've got this, you've got like the kindling within you, but you need the spark, you need the match, you need something that's gonna trigger that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's like a rock bottom type, or like a doctor saying, hey,
Right.
you are done if you don't make these changes. So what would you say to someone who might even be watching this, watching it, and it's like, gosh, this sounds familiar. What would you say to someone to really try to just maybe like take that first step?
Start small. Don't create such big goals or like in regards to weight loss. You may need to lose 100 pounds, but don't say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds, because when you don't lose that 100 pounds, you're just going to be discouraged. Start small, start incrementally, start with maybe, I want to lose 5. This month, I want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. And then from that, if you get to that point, okay, cool. Start setting another goal for yourself, but an achievable goal, not something that's unachievable. Like someone close to me needs to lose a bunch of weight, but she was like, I need to lose 75 pounds. I was like, okay, we'll start with 10. Well, and that's that mentality that got her back to, well, she gets frustrated, then she goes back to how she was eating before and not being active. You know what I mean? And that's, we beat ourselves up when we don't reach these things that we think we can. You know what I mean? And so that's the advice I give somebody. Small, attainable goals turn to bigger goals. You know what I mean? And then pretty soon that just snowballs. And that's how it worked for me. It snowballed, and I was excited. Oh, I lost another pound today. Yes.
Your metabolism gets fast too. It
Yes.
starts to work, so
Yes.
it helps as well.
But you will hit those dead zones too.
Absolutely.
You will, no matter who you are, what it is. You're going to hit a dead zone where you're thinking like, oh, this is it.
Yep.
This is all. And
Yep.
it might be 6 weeks, or whatever.
The key is to bull through those. Keep it up. Keep what you're doing up, because all of a sudden you might have hit that wall, and then if you're consistent, next thing you know, boom, 2 or 3 more pounds came off, and it's just like you broke through that barrier. You know what I mean? It's hard.
You said something during that reminded me. I've been totally into this book called Think Like a Monk.
Okay.
And I came across this earlier, but it was talking about how we will talk to ourselves in the manner that we would never talk to our friend, our family.
Sure.
You're like, you're an idiot, Lauren. You're a failure. You suck. We'll say all of that stuff to ourselves and never say that to anyone else that we love and care about, right?
Right.
It's like, so why are we so self-critical and like ready to kick ourselves the minute we mess up?
Right.
It's crazy, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that stuff interesting because, we think it. We're like, yeah, that makes total sense, but never maybe have made that connection. Right?
I think that we dwell on negative things too. We could be told, you could be told you're handsome 100 times, but the one time someone says you're ugly, that one speaks volumes more
For
than
sure.
anything else.
Right.
Same goes for anything else. It's unfortunate that we're wired that way, but we are, and we've got to kind of get past that, get past that negative self-talk, like you said,
Well, a lot of it's our ego, right? It's our ego getting in the way. I talked to on one of our other episodes with Jordan Knight. He was talking about his, he was moving back to Galesburg, man. It's gonna suck, and people are gonna think I failed out here. And I had a similar one moving back from Arizona.
And most likely he was the only person that was thinking like that. Nobody
Same.
cared about him coming
I
back.
had the exact same thing when I came back to Galesburg.
Like, no one's worried about it. I've now as 41 years old, I realized like really everyone out here is really worried about themselves and getting stuff done. And so when we mess up, we think everyone notices. And the fact is no one does. And if they do, I always feel like if they're the ones who are noticing and ready to like kick you, the odds are they're not focusing on their own stuff. They're ignoring it by paying attention to yours.
Sure, exactly.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
It's true though, man. I came back with the same mentality. You know, I didn't come back because I wanted to. I was kind of forced into it by a couple of bad decisions on my own part, and it was my own fault. You know, so of course I'm kicking myself about it. But I also had those. Everybody is going to think you failed. Everybody, you know, and that stuck with me for a long time. But you know, you just got to get over it. You know?
And nobody cares about you.
No one, I mean, really, it is. You know,
so true.
This world has been here for a long time before you. It'll be here for a long time after. You know, we literally are. I mean, I'm not saying none of us are important. We're all very valuable, right? But like, we're just this small little speck, like blowing in the wind of this world, if you will. And I find it crazy, but. We all have a story. We all have things going on in our life. That's one thing I love about this Talk About It podcast is providing like a platform. And I think the more people that can watch it and see like, man, like these people have gone through struggles or whatever. I mean, just like me or whatever. You're not alone. Like, no one is alone out here.
Right.
You know? So before we wrap up, let's throw out just a random question at you.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you earlier, like what your favorite thing to eat is, but you can answer that too. But what I really want to ask is where, if you could like 65 years old, you go to retire, do you see, where do you see yourself? Like sticking around, you're going to go live somewhere crazy, a goal, if you will.
Southern California sounds nice. You know, the San Diego, San Clemente kind of area would be nice. You know, perfect weather. You know,
Where did you say you were born?
Well, I was born in Wisconsin.
Okay.
But my parents moved to Galesburg when I was 3 months old, so I don't really have any ties to Wisconsin, and they're not from there. So,
And do you like the small town life?
more now than I did, because when I lived in Chicago, I was like, I'll never go back there ever again. You know, like I'll go visit my parents, but that's it. And then now that I've been back, I can appreciate it more. I just went to Chicago this weekend and I had a blast, and it kind of reminded me like, oh man, I love this place. You know, I could definitely live back in the city if I wanted to, but it's a little bit more work. It's a little more struggle. Like having a car up there this weekend reminded me of why I didn't have a car before when I lived there. And it's just like, it's such a responsibility finding places to park it.
It can be 20 minutes looking for parking.
If you go to a parking garage, it's $50. You know what I mean? You could, if you park in the wrong space, you're going to get your car towed. I got my parents' I got my parents' car towed there once, and it was a huge ordeal. It was not a fun thing to deal with, you know?
To me, Chicago's for the birds, man. And this is my opinion.
Yeah. I love Chicago.
No,
I love to visit,
Yeah.
and I love to leave. I love to visit the place, but I want to get out of there after really about 2 days tops.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just not my style.
Sure.
And not knocking it. It's just too, like, usually I don't want to, 20 minutes just to find, we keep going around this block, and you're just hoping a car moves so you can park.
Right.
You know? Where we
It's
live,
because there's way too many people wanting to be in the same place.
well, they can have it. They can have it for me.
right.
You guys can have Chicago. Go. But yeah, it's a good place to visit. It's cool, but I could never live there.
Yeah.
Not in a million.
Yeah, I was raised in a city about the size of Chicago in Brazil. So I never had the experience of living in a small town. So
Sure.
and then I went to Europe, lived in big cities there too, and then I came to Mama, to Galesburg, so it was a whole different thing.
Oh yeah.
But
You talking about shock? I'm sure that.
Yeah.
He doesn't know English. He doesn't.
yeah, I didn't know English when I got here. Was trying to learn English so I could go to school.
Sure.
So I needed to pass a test, an English test. So
I can't imagine.
yeah, when I got here, all I wanted to do is to just learn English, go to school, and transfer to a school in a big city. That
Sure.
was all that I was thinking about. And then, of course, life took me to a whole different
Yeah,
path.
man. Yeah.
But it's okay. Now I'm happy here. You know, I was just not used to a small town. I wasn't used to being a weekend, and I don't have options to do things.
no options. But,
So yeah, in my city in Brazil, you have literally 150 options to do something on a Saturday night.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
And here you have options too.
3. No.
Yeah, a couple options, but I like it, and I like the people. The people treated and treated me very well when I got here, and I got to know a lot of people. Got involved with school, church, the community in general. I'm happy here now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think I would be this happy back in 2015 when I got here. But now I'm satisfied with the place and life and everything.
It's what you make it wherever you're at. You know, you can make Southern California suck.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
easy.
For sure.
If there's plenty of people there that wake up and go, gosh, I need to get out of here, right? I mean, it's all about when your feet hit the ground. You know, but you'll decide what kind of day or environment you're gonna have, right?
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. Like you said, you don't like Chicago just because you didn't find a place to park. So
Yeah, it's basically all about the parking. No, there's plenty of 100 other reasons, but that it's just not my style.
Sure.
You know?
yeah, it makes sense.
But I'll go to a Bears game or Cubs game. I enjoy that type of stuff. Amazing food. That's another thing you can give Chicago. There's some amazing food there. From a Chicago dog to seafood restaurants, there's plenty.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It looks nice. I like
Yeah.
it. And I didn't know Chicago had that beach. Like, I know it's not an ocean, but
Yeah, there's
I
a
went
lot
there
of
last
beach-
summer.
there's a lot of
and it
beaches
was
there.
packed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So busy, and people like on bikinis. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You didn't
Is
think-
this Chicago?
right
Yeah.
outside the city, right?
Yes,
It's
yeah.
right there.
Well, that's part of the allure to the city, in my opinion, is like you suffer through the cold weather there. The cold weather is brutal, but then you get the first sign of spring and people start going outside, and you get that good weather, and it's just like the hustle and the bustle starts picking back up again. You know what I mean? And it's pretty cool. You can definitely feel the energy of that city.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I really thought was cool. You know,
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
you don't really get that here, which is
Right.
fine. It is what it is. It's not the same.
It's just
but
different,
It's
yeah.
just different. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, man, we appreciate you coming out today.
Yeah,
Nate.
thank you.
Absolutely. It's
Appreciate
Nate WEIK,
Yes.
man of many talents, but the Landmark Cafe and Creperie,
Yep.
co-owner there and head chef, right?
Yes,
That's
yep.
the title?
Yep.
All right. Victor, thanks again for making this fun.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah,
it was
thank you.
awesome.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. Everyone, we appreciate you, all the support, listening. Hopefully you enjoyed our show, and keep your eye out for more Talk About It podcasts.
See you guys next week.
See ya.
You're tuned in to the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer,
I'm Victor Dantas.
and we're here to talk about it. Each week, we're going to have a guest come in, talk about it, tell their story, and really just hope to have some fun and bring some positive energy your way.
Guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you know when's the next episode, and I see you guys in the next episode.
Talk About It podcast.